enlighten, encourage, and empower our viewers for growth and success. Thriving Women's mission is to inspire our viewers to thrive, not just survive. Let's take a moment and introduce your Thrive Tribe. Noel Ramos, investment coach from Atlanta, Georgia. Sabrina Protic, author and life coach from Tampa Bay, Florida. Stacy Pesaw, life coach from Palm Harbor, Florida. Gina Marie Casano, transformational coach from Bayville, New York. Dr. Lita J. Harris, gynecologist from Corona, California. Whitney Hartford, social media influencer from Miami, Florida. Genesis Haycrick, workflow coach from Sarasota, Florida. Brianna Johnson, financial coach from Chicago, Illinois. Sylvia Camacho, financial coach from La Habra, California. Let's get ready to be empowered, and here's your Thrive Tribe. Thriving Women Talk is powered by the Trendsetters Mentor Group, an exclusive membership for mentorship on Facebook.
Yeah. Hello, and welcome everyone to Thriving Women Talk, the #1 talk show for thriving women across the globe. We are so happy to be here with you. My name is Gina Marie Castano. I am streaming live from Bayville, New York with the Thrive Tribe. And before we get deep into our empowering and enlightening show, there's just a few things that I'd like to share with you guys. 2 weeks ago, we announced that our show is streaming in Spain. Well, this week we received news that we are now streaming in Jamaica. Yeah. Welcome, Jamaica. We are happy that you are here. So next week will be our anniversary show. We will have some of our original co-hosts, returning guests, and clips from some of our most empowering moments on our show throughout the last year. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to see what that's like. In the United States, the hot topic is on the murder trial of George Floyd. This is a very heavy topic and very relevant. This is the second day of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin's murder trial in the death of George Floyd, a 46-year-old Black man who died back in May of last year. His death was due to former PO Chalvin placing his knee on George Floyd's neck while he pleaded, "I can't breathe." In his final moments, recorded on video live for the world to see, led to widespread protests against police brutality and racism under the Black Lives Matter banner, as well as incidents of unrest and looting that traveled throughout the country. This horrific event changed the world. On a lighter note, in honor of the final day of National Women's History Month, Thriving Women decided to take this opportunity to share 3 empowering stories of reverent humanity that will encourage our viewers to bestow hope for the hopeless, calmness for those in fear, and brotherly love and sisterly love for those who have experienced hate. Our hearts and prayers are with the Floyd family and everyone else who has been a victim or has felt any sort of brutality or hate against them. Let's bring on Sabrina.
Yes, so nice to be with the Thrive Tribe this afternoon. We want to talk about Oklahoma and the Goodwill employees fined. Wow, I was just amazed when I saw this. $42,000 hidden in donated clothing. Andrea Lessing, a new worker at a charity shop, found stacks of $100 bills stuffed inside 2 old sweaters. She thought, this must be fake. This can't be real money. It was real. The store associate at this Goodwill Industries then realized that this was really real, and the cash totaled, as I said, $42,000. Andrea was in the back sorting out clothes and looking for rips and stains. She obviously wasn't searching for money when she saw this treasure, and the first thing she thought of was her 60-year-old daughter, her 6-year-old daughter. Her birthday's coming up in July, she thought, but I just can't actually take this money for myself. So she thought, even though I got this birthday party, I could be planning for my daughter, I got to do the right thing. So she told its station KFOR, a local news station, about it. Nevertheless, Andrea says she believes in karma and could not imagine keeping the money for herself. She reported the lost cash in the shop, and the shop was Norman's in Oklahoma, and was able to track down the owner. Thanks to some identified documentation that was bundled with the money inside the donation, she was able to connect with the owners. The owners were so overwhelmed with her honesty that they actually gave her $1,000, which actually made her break down and cry. So, I look at this, there are still good things going on. We wanted to share a goodwill story. We hear so much bad news. There's still good people doing good things for other people. And this was one of those stories that touched my heart as a feel good that, you know what? She did the right thing. She could have used that money for her daughter, but she didn't. She turned it in, was able to find the person. And I like sharing good stories like that there are people that have good hearts. Brianna, what do you think?
Well, I think that's a great story. I absolutely love that. And I really have a soft spot in my heart for really good, honest people. I just love it. But let's dive into another subject of good people, just really good people, talking about karma. And when you do good to others, great things come back to you. So there was a Minnesota teacher that donated a kidney to the school's custodian. So throughout the many years that Graham Nisbet managed the local skating arena in Seaforth, Ontario, he routinely went above and beyond the call of duty, opening the rink early, staying late, and even in the face of snowstorms to ensure neighborhood kids could get in as many hours on the ice as possible. No one was actually aware of the grateful. I'm sorry. No one is more aware of or as grateful for Nesbitt's dedication than Bonnie O'Reilly. So her two sons, Ryan and Cal, who skated under Nesbitt's watchful eye, both went on to play in the NHL, which is amazing, right? So Nesbitt was diagnosed with Berger's disease 9 years ago. And it's a progressive condition that lessens the kidney's ability to filter blood. By 2019, the medication keeping his illness under check was no longer working. So his body was really immune to it, unfortunately. So a kidney transplant became the 65-year-old's only option for survival at this time. So once O'Reilly learned she was a match, the only thing left to be done was to arrange for the surgery. So what you have done for my boys, helping them achieve your goal of helping them achieve their goal of playing professional hockey, it is the least we can do. And that's just amazing, because if he hadn't done the things that he did for his community and for the children within the community, then they probably wouldn't have the opportunity that they have to perfect playing, hockey and being able to be in a position to help those around them. So just showing that gratitude is amazing. And I absolutely love this story. So shout out to you. Stacey, what do you feel about that story?
Wow. Honestly, just, we started off with the, sharing about karma, right? And just, what a beautiful example of, how you can be so compassionate and kind and how it can come back. So I love that story. We've got another great story that I want to share. And it is about an amazing company that was started in New Jersey. And it's actually a moving company. But what they did is they started to realize that there was a need And so they were able to take their moving company and help people with food. So they started this whole initiative of the amount of food that's left over when people are moving, right? So when they move to another area, you got a bunch of things in your pantry, and a lot of times you don't necessarily want to take it with you. So they found this need, and they created this company. And so basically they have over 1,050 moving companies and 22 million pounds of food later. And the founder, Adam Lowy, he is the founder for Move for Hunger, basically turned these leftovers into an enterprise level charity. And Adam went on to say that, basically, like I said, when people move, they throw away a bunch of stuff, and they were able to say, hey, let's look at the food and the clothing, the furniture, and be able to give back. So I absolutely love this. And he said that they started the company just kind of by simply asking a simple question. Like, do you want to donate your food when you move? And that question posed, first in 2009, and it led to the creation of the Move for Hunger. And basically it just links up these moving companies with food banks in their area, and it pairs them with apartment offices and corporate housing and relocation management companies, real estate agents, just people that are, really tied into tenants and homeowners about the possible impact that they can have just simply by donating their food or their clothing before they change addresses. So I think this is amazing. And so what they went on to say is once the partners gets the words that someone wants to move, Move for Hunger provides a brochure about the local hunger problems. And then they give them a plastic bag and a cardboard box. And then they help people to be able to donate the food. And then the local moving company just brings it up, packs it up, sends it to the local food bank, and there's just nothing left that's wasted. So I think this is just a really great example of how you can be resourceful, how you can give back to your community, how you can use your resources of the moving company. It just seems like an amazing win-win.
Wow, that is great. That's amazing.
Gina, I know that you want to share something too. Yeah.
Yes, I was on mute. We hear a lot of that in the last 12 months, don't we? What an amazing story. I know locally we're doing a lot of food pantries here, especially more so now, and people are really in need. And so to hear the creativity of this business, take what they had and think of a way to really help and support others, how amazing is that? I mean, I love hearing about that. So thank you, Stacy, for sharing that. Let's hear from some of our other co-hosts on their perspective. Noelle, how do these stories give hope to those who feel hopeless and encouragement to the families that live in fear?
Yeah, Gina, so I think I'm just going to keep it plain and simple. The fact that people keep bringing awareness to these topics, to these hard, uncomfortable topics that nobody really wants to discuss and nobody really wants to hear about. If we keep having that hope that eventually something will touch someone's hearts and they'll see something that maybe they just didn't see before, maybe see a different perspective that they just didn't think of. I know it's happened to me a few times listening to our show where I just didn't think of something and see it in somebody else's eyes. So we just got to have that hope that one day, keep bringing these topics up. It's going to bring awareness and it's going to change people's minds and how they think.
I love it, sharing. And that's one of the reasons why we're here on Thriving Women, is to enlighten and empower, right? Even ourselves.
Yeah.
Genesis, let's hear from you. Why do you think it's important to educate our children on social issues and how it impacts our lives?
I absolutely love this question because as a mom of 4, these are things that I am constantly thinking about. And I think the key is really to create more awareness, just to make our children present to what is, because they don't know what they don't know unless they actually experience it or unless somebody actually has that conversation with them. So, talking about these things early on is such a great preventative in order for them to better understand, having those difficult conversations with others, and just, again, awareness to be able to say, this is the world that we're living in. So we need to make sure that we can have that dialogue with people when the situations arise. So I think, again, starting young, my children are all 8 and under. And so I never think that I don't think for anyone it's too early to start just opening up that conversation.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much. Sylvia.
Yes.
You know that words do matter. So what would you say to your nieces and nephews about these toxic social issues to encourage them to continue thriving and being open?
Well, Gina, like Genesis said, we need to start early and just have the awareness. Sit down with them and just talk, listen to them, what they have to say. My nieces are in the ages between 12 and under. The youngest is 4. So can you imagine? It's a big topic. Like Genesis said, how can I approach it? How can I tell you? But if we start them young and tell them, hey, we're all the same. We're just one cult with different diversity. But if we tell them, just bringing the awareness to them and say, like, it can happen in the Black community, it can happen to the Hispanic community, it can happen to the white, it can happen to anybody. So it's just a matter of listen to them, asking them questions every time that we pick them up from school. How did you interact with the other kids? Because on the schools, it's different cultures. So it's just a matter of bringing the awareness. We go back to the awareness. And I love this show, our show, because that's what we bring to us and to our viewers, just to have the awareness that just topics that we need to be concerned and also have the kids involved.
Absolutely. Thank you. I mean, and if the way to get people to share perspectives and really try to learn and understand is to have the conversation.
Yep.
Let's just have the conversation and being open to hearing different perspectives. Really, really important. So thank you so much. So thank you all for sharing your message of hope to our viewers around the world. Moving on, last week was our hot topic related to the events that occurred on March 16th of this year. A series of mass shootings occurred again. This time it was at 3 spa locations down in Atlanta, Georgia in the United States, where 8 people were killed, 6 of whom were Asian women. We had 2 empowering Asian women on the show last week to share their perspective and inspiring journey from Vietnam and the Philippines. And today, we're going to continue the conversation on our topic and recommend a book called The Good Immigrants with our guest Marjorie Phoenix and Rosie Paulson. And these thriving women are authors and understand the plight of immigrants growing up in the Bahamas and Ecuador. And when we come back from our sponsor break, we will discuss our first recommendation book for 2021. It's called The Good Immigrants.
Choice and opportunity, the foundation of the Capital Choice mission. We believe everyone has the choice to take control of their own financial independence, and we want to give more people the opportunity to achieve their goals. At Capital Choice, we help make financial wellness a reality, and you can be a critical part of the charge, a part of something bigger. Our associates are more than just salespeople to us. We're a team, a family that supports each other, and we have fun doing it. We want you to succeed. So we offer mentorship and training to help you get comfortable with the industry and serving clients. Our goal is to get you to a place of independence, to be in business for yourself. You choose how to grow, and we'll never take that away from you. Your business focus, how you build your team, how you serve clients, how high you climb, full-time versus part-time. The sky's the limit, and we'll be there for help and support along the way. At Capital Choice, we are passionate, empathetic, real. We give everyone equal opportunity, but you have the control and make the decisions. Want to see what you can achieve with more choice and opportunity? Join our team and find freedom with Capital Choice. Your business, your choice.
immigrants is breeding intolerance. Here are some ways you can become a good immigrant. Win a televised baking competition. Get gold in the Olympics. Write a Christmas #1. Don't say that you've experienced casual racism. In the 80s and 90s, according to Norman Tebbit, the way to prove your allegiance to this country was to support the England cricket team, rather than that of your or your parents' country of birth. But the rule for what constitutes a good immigrant is always changing. 1 second Nadia Hussain is a crowning achievement of multicultural Britishness, a good immigrant who won the Great British Bake Off. But then she goes on Desert Island Discs and she admits she's experienced casual racism frequently. Indignant, defensive tweets out. The patron saint of vileness, Liz Jones, rails against her in a column. Suddenly she's a bad immigrant. Being in the public eye makes the path to good immigrant status easy, if you play the game. But what about the rest of us? Normal immigrants, the ones who come here to make money, to escape war, to be with family, to study, to lead quiet lives. The bar is so high nowadays to be a good immigrant that dehumanizing everyone else becomes the norm. We're bodiless swarms, cockroaches. We steal your jobs, your women, your place in the waiting room at the GP surgery. We have to earn our place at the table, not be a nuisance, contribute to society, but without taking away opportunities for real British people. The line between good and bad immigrants is fickle and unreasonable. We're held to impossible standards by people with no accountability. I may not bake fancy cakes, run 10,000 meters or top the charts, but then again, neither do you.
Welcome back to Thriving Women Talk. Our recommended book is The Good Immigrant, which is inspired by current events that have enhanced our awareness of stereotypes, biases, and racism against immigrants in the United States and around the world. And our goal is to enlighten our viewers on the journey of 26 writers in the book that share their experience as immigrants in America. This book was written to document stories to encourage readers to have empathy and respect for others that come from another country. And our goal is to be able to really help you to define of what's that definition, like the book's title, The Good Immigrant. In the book, the stereotype says that a good immigrant is someone who works hard, they integrates well into society, they behave themselves, they become an athlete or a film star, or they save lives. Someone really that's supposed to prove their worth to their new country. And The Good Immigrant has a wide-ranging group of writers, from comedians to journalists to poets, really exploring what being an immigrant or even the child of an immigrant in the U.S. is like. So in the same interview, Naish stated that we're seeing every day instances of casual and violent racism and everything really in between. People are feeling emboldened in America and also in the UK because of, really who is running the country and how the press covers them, their dog whistlers and the fires that they're stoking and everything that's really being emphasized, right? So America needs this book because young people of color need to also have a mirror held up for them. So they can feel less isolated and alone and really come together to resist the miserable oppression. I know that, this is another uncomfortable conversation that we're bringing, right? We're bringing this together so that we can really find out and start to listen and lean in and to be able to learn. So Brianna, I would love to hear, what's your personal perspective on this topic?
Well, my personal perspective is that it just is very disheartening because at the end of the day, people are people, and it shouldn't be that much pressure on a person just because they've come from somewhere else, because that instills a lot of insecurities, doubts, and so many other things that can hinder generations and generations of people. And that takes away from the world and society in general, because when you feel feel as if you're not good enough, or you're constantly being judged, or whatever the case may be, it kind of takes away from who you are truly as a person, and you don't really express yourself or give your gifts to the world. And we all have a gift. We all have a contribution to the world. But a lot of people, die with those because of this.
Yeah. I never even, to be honest with you, I mean, until we started really diving into this on a show, I never really even thought of that or had that perspective. And it just breaks my heart to think about that kind of pressure, let alone all the other things, having to learn a language and culture and everything else. Oh my goodness. That seems like a lot of pressure. I can't even imagine that. Yeah.
I agree with you, Brianna, 100%. The reason that Nikesh was he wanted to write this book basically because, in the UK, they're supposed to be more open about diversity, more open about different cultures. And so he's wanting to get the different experiences of the UK. And so he got increasingly irritated by the lack of British writers that were of color that have been being published in the UK. And so he felt that he wanted to do something more positive than just whine on Twitter. I mean, it's so easy to just get on and do a little rant on Twitter, right? I mean, it's easy, but what are you really accomplishing? And so he wanted to read a modern book about race and immigration in the UK, where they're supposed to be more open and diverse. So he figured that doing an anthology could satisfy both of these itches and also be a platform for writers who the British readerships, they deserve to hear from more. They deserve to hear from more colors, more races, more everything. So he mentioned that how immigrants are stereotyped. You heard in the video, he mentioned that either they're stereotyped as good or bad. They're dirty immigrants, or, they're doing something with their lives. And anything in between is just erased. So immigrants were rapists, they're drug dealers, they're terrorists, or suddenly, when it suits everyone, they're world-renowned sportsmen, they're celebrities, they're extreme examples of what we could possibly be. And it seems to be there's no middle ground. I mean, Sabrina, I'd love for you to lean on this as well.
Well, yeah, this has really opened up our eyes. Like you said, Noelle, I was totally unaware of some of these issues. And now that they're being brought to light, we can kind of weigh in on, what they have to deal with. Culturally, I think even Stacey mentioned, all over the world, there are different types of cultures. Now we're just starting to understand some of their struggles. So Nikesh was asked how she decided on the writers. She stated that it was essentially a wish list of favorite writers, comedians, musicians, filmmakers, and artists. Nikesh sat down one evening and just wrote this long list of people whose thoughts and experiences on immigration that felt that they really wanted to know more about. And they went from there. So when they were putting together the American version, they wanted to look at the immigrants' voices in the widest possible sense. Nikesh said it was so much more than an immigrant book. You know how things start to evolve when you really start to get into things. It is more about personal journey. Nikesh was asked, what do you hope readers want to take away from this book, The Good Immigrant, she said. Basically, to ensure people center immigrant voices when talk about immigration issues, and to remind everyone that behind the word immigrant is a real person. So, it's just getting that bonding. So now when we think about the word immigrant, rather than thinking about a class of people, think about a person and an individual and their individuality. So get this book in your personal library. There's lots to learn, Noelle.
Oh, yeah.
From here.
I mean, Sabrina, I definitely plan on getting this book because I love the fact that it has different people's experiences. It has more than one person writing the book, and we get to read about the different things that are going on. So it's a broad spectrum of how things are going and what people have had to deal with. So we can continue this conversation on, but right now we have to take a commercial break, and we're going to continue our conversation about the Good Immigrant with our special guest that we invited today.
Thriving Women Life Strategies is powered by Women Entrepreneurial Empowerment, commonly called WEE. The organization's mission is empowering women entrepreneurs through a platform of visibility, education, and strategic growth and development within the networking arena. Their doors are open to women of all ages, millennials, new startups, small business, and those needing a boost. If you are committed to excellence and you want to know more about WEE platform, message founder Sabrina Protic on Facebook or email her at www.agelesstechniques.com. Back to Thriving Women Talk.
I want to pronounce your name like the way that your people say it.
I knew when it was coming.
Zaire.
I know in their minds, as they were reading it, they were like thinking to themselves like, oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to pronounce this correctly.
Nguyen, Mr. Nijan, Mr. Nguyen.
Oh, look, there's soybean.
I've had Bianca, I've had Brianca.
I remember my 8th grade teacher calling me Hamas. Didn't really enjoy that very much.
I wish that I could have a Lunchables at school every single day.
Mom, make me Lunchables, make me Lunchables. And she'd be like, well, I am not a corporation that is going to feed you 3,000 milligrams of sodium. Here is a completely organic meal. And I would be like, that is crap. I want Doritos.
Ugh, Nicole brought her smelly ethnic food again. Get it out of here.
No problems on that front. I ate all the normal stuff. I did see other kind of Indian kids or Chinese kids bring their stuff in, and I remember being like, that's weird.
Those are non-existent?
What is that?
I don't really know what a sleepover is.
Sleepovers for me were basically, you're gonna go over to their family's house and sleep. Right. Everyone in their family is gonna rape you.
We just didn't talk about dating in general because that's not a thing.
There's no dating.
You can't date, you can't date, you can't date, you can't date, and then one magical day, when are you getting married?
My mom was like, embrace your hoitude from a young age.
There's like meeting people, and then 3 days later, you're married.
And I mean, implicitly, it was no dating white girls, no dating white girls, no dating white girls, no dating white girls. When are you getting married?
You have a house, why would you choose to sleep in the woods?
Civilization left the woods behind, so why go back?
Oh, camping was awesome. I had an engineer father. Like, we solar fried hot dogs. Halal hot dogs. Hello! Merci, okay.
Yeah, calling cards, white kids never really dealt with that, but it was like the ultimate stocking stuffer in our family.
Oh, inshallah, okay. Can you hear me? Bye. Khudafiz.
Immigrant, Mexican. What is that?
Here.
Wow. That was powerful.
Welcome back to Thriving Women Talk. We have invited Marjorie Phoenix, author of the book, Who the Hell You Think You Are? Born in Miami. I love that. She was raised in the Bahamas until the age of 12 and returned to the States to complete education. She received her bachelor's degree in sociology from the University of Central Florida and a master's in industrial organizational psychology from Southern New Hampshire University. Incredible. Toastmaster award-winning speaker is on the top of her list, and published poet and founder of Giving Voices Project, which is a 501c3 organization in Orlando, Florida. And Rosie Paulson, author of the book Nyenke,
The Spirit of a Resilient Mindset, honored as one of the 50 most influential Hispanic business leaders in Florida, is a native of Ecuador who came to the United States as a teenager. She's also a public speaker and business trailblazer. Rosie owns Rosie Paulson Enterprises and SNR Services. I am just absolutely blown away, ladies. This is so incredible, all of this experience and all of these things that you're doing. And I just wanted to welcome you to Thriving Women Talk. Marjorie, I would love to know what inspired you to write your book, Who the Hell You Think You Are, and who is the book title speaking to?
Well, thank you, ladies, for having me on today. It's such a pleasure. I love the first half of the show and can't wait to get into that discussion with you all. But the title of my book is to answer the question that my ex-husband asked me across the dining room table one night when I told him that I wanted to do work to help single mothers and other women around the country. And he looked at me and he asked me, who the hell do you think you are? You have no formal education. You have no training. What makes you think they're going to listen to you? And that was the start there from when I realized that I could no longer be in this marriage. It was a verbally abusive, emotionally abusive marriage. And about a month later, I decided that I was going to leave. But before leaving, we had a bit of an altercation at the house. I threw my wedding album at him. I didn't hit him, but he called the police and had me arrested in front of my two children. My youngest was 6 at the time. And I spent 24 hours in jail. And upon being released, I couldn't go back to my home. I was homeless, and he had closed all the bank accounts. So I spent a year and a half fighting him for custody of my child, for my dignity, for my life back with no resources. And it was during that time that I started journaling through my self-healing process. And then I decided I'm going to answer that question because I had discovered who the hell I was. So that's why I wrote the book.
That is so profound. And, you know, I feel like sometimes it's those most difficult circumstances or those statements that someone makes to us at some point in our lives that we can take and we can use that for our power and for our motivation to really create a new message that will be so incredible for the other people that need to hear it, for all of those audience members that are needing to hear your message and your story. So it's an amazing thing when we're able to turn it around and do that. So good for you, Marjorie, to be able to break out of that, because I can understand how that must be so difficult at times, you know, and, you know, just overcoming those past circumstances. You obviously been able to do that. So thank you so much for sharing that. We'll also like to bring Rosie on here for a second. And Rosie, your book, Nienke, The Spirit of a Resilient Mindset, is your personal journey. Can you share what inspired you to write your book and why should our viewers read it?
First of all, because it's an inspiring book. And I just want to make sure you guys are hearing me, right? Okay.
Yes.
So it's actually pronounced Nieke, and that is a Quechua word that means grit. It's also resilient. And it is about my entrepreneurial journey into coming into understanding what being an American is in Ecuador and realizing that I was an American born in the wrong place. And because of my gender, I was always put in boxes. But you know that breaking the glass ceiling, I actually get hired to break the glass ceiling. And I just recently understood that. And it's because when people try to put you in boxes, it is not about you. It's about them, that they cannot really understand who you are for whatever their their history is. But you are a great ambassador to those people to teach them, hey, this is just who I am, because I'm proud and I inspire myself to be the best that I can be. And I'm not competing with anybody else, but with the person I was yesterday. Finding my purpose, persist, persevere, and pivot has helped me achieve a thriving, successful, and profitable business. And not once, not twice, but 3 times. And that's what I share in my book.
Oh, love that message. And it's so key, you know, every single day when we wake up in the morning to be looking at our own life, looking at our own circumstances and deciding what can I do for my immediate circumstances here and how can I move forward? And I think that alone sends such a great message to so many that you don't need to be concerned with their thoughts and their perspectives. If there is resentment, if there is individuals that have, you know, something that's potentially hindering them, you can stand up and you can say, look at me, look at where I've come from. I am breaking through these glass ceilings. I have had these challenges, and to step into that leadership role and to literally just be the example that so many are yearning for. And when you step into that and shed that light on who we can ultimately be, you're going to create change for so many.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you for being with us on the show today. Rosie and Marjorie. Is that right? I hope I pronounced your name right.
That's it.
That's it for me.
Our topic today is on Good Immigrant. Rosie, briefly tell us about your inspiring story coming to America and the stereotypes that you endure.
I can tell you that I have I think the problem was not the stereotyping. It was that a lot of people never encountered another Ecuadorian 32 years ago. Now, we are the third minority in New York, but when I moved to Tampa, it was either Puerto Ricans or Cubans. So I automatically, when people ask me, are you Puerto Rican or Cuban? And I say, I'm not. They say, you must be Mexican. And I'm like, no, I'm from Ecuador. Oh, that is from Africa. And I'm like, you know, and I realized it was just an opportunity for me to talk to people. And I will say the reason why I'm from Ecuador, the Ecuadorian line goes through my country, and literally is the center of the world. Oh, Ecuador. And it just became a way to just talking to people. You can see my energy. When I walk into a room, literally people cannot not notice me. Okay. And it was just really me embracing that God-given gift, because that's who I am. And what I do in the community now, and why I have become such a well-known. When people arrive to Tampa, there's 3 names that you are giving of the people that you should know and meet, and mine is one of them. And I take that very seriously and with a lot of honor, because I just want to know a little bit about you and your business and connect you with somebody that you're going to have a long-lasting relationship that will be thriving and inspiring for both of you. Sometimes money comes along, sometimes influence comes along. But me doing that introduction just keeps open doors and more doors and more doors. And it's just making an impact on my community for a pure, positive, and inspiring ideas. Because that's the only thing I can change. I can influence me to be the best I can be. And by being the best I can be, my community and my environment gets benefit out of it.
Brianna?
Okay, I was having some technical difficulty. I'm like, why can't I get this? Okay, I'm the most tech savvy over here, but I'm just truly inspired by both of you. And I just want to say, like everyone continues to say, thank you so much for joining us today. I just love woman empowerment. But this question is for Marjorie. You lived in the Bahamas and in the United States, which is amazing. I love to visit the Bahamas. I can actually use a vacation there right now.
Right?
But can you share your perspective of living in both countries, and what can you share with our listeners on having empathy?
Oh, wow. So, I grew up in Grand Bahama, which is really not that close from the United States. And so, I tell people that even though I was in Bahamas, I had a lot of the cultural aspects of what it was to be in America. We were watching it on TV. We traveled back and forth, Miami, Bahamas, back and forth. And so, coming over to be here at the age of 12 without my parents or my siblings, right? They sent me off to school. Even though I had visited and I had, an idea of what it was like, I was not prepared for really living in this country. So at that age and being on your own, it was a bit of a culture shock and it was very scary. And I had a really hard time with it. And I tell people all the time, they ask me, people are, where are you from? Right now they'll be like, where are you from? And I'll say, I was born in the United States, but I was raised in the Bahamas. And so I have, the best of both worlds in a way. And my mother really wanted all of us to be born in this country because she was big on the opportunities that this country would give us. And that's what it was all about. So that's what influenced her to send me over here at such a young age. I'm going into the 9th grade and I'm 12 years old without any family. And so, but for her, she saw the opportunity in it. Now, as far as empathy goes, I think that in order for people to really have empathy, and to understand when people are coming, especially coming in this country from another culture, is you have to be able to get to know them. You have to create a relationship so that there can be this level of understanding, so that there can be empathy. Without having that relational connection, you have compassion. Really, that's really all that you can have. But you really want to get to know people. And I think that's one of the biggest issues right now when it comes to the immigrant story, is that lack of empathy comes from lack of knowledge and education and relationship to know who that person really is. How many people do you know from another country, from Ecuador, from the Bahamas? How many Black people do you know? How many white people do you know? How do so you have to create relationships, and that's really what's going to build on the empathy for you.
I definitely totally agree. And just to kind of add, you tell me if you agree or disagree, but I grew up in a family where judgment of different ethnicities were just basically passed on to us. So for me, I had to break that barrier and say, you know what, I'm not going to go by what my mom or my grandfather and how they feel about this specific group of people. I'm going to get to know these people for myself and judge, make my own connection and see if what they're saying is true or false. So I can totally relate. Yeah. Yeah. Sabrina?
That is awesome. I'm sitting here listening. You're a relationship builder, Marjorie. That's what I call you, as a relationship builder. Speaking of relationships and building and fortifying others and fortifying our community, you've created a Facebook show called Storytime and Wine. So Marjorie, tell us a little bit about that. It's called The Authentic Allowships and Powerful Alliances. So why did you create this platform, and really what is your vision for that?
Oh, wow. I'm so glad that you asked. So Storytime and Wine will actually become a podcast soon, but I started it last year, right around the time that George Floyd was murdered. I could see that people were looking for a space to talk about what they were feeling and what they were seeing. And I really wanted to bring people together to have these discussions. Now, I believe in bringing my lifestyle into my work. I'm a wine connoisseur. So for me, having these types of conversations over a bottle of wine is something that I really like. And so Storytime and Wine was created as a way to, I tell people, envision it as a cocktail party where you're in a group of thought-provoking, curious social disruptors who are really talking about the issues that matter to them, that affect their communities, that affect society. And they're coming together to figure out how they can be the change that they seek. And so this has really just sort of snowballed over the months. And so we meet once a month. Now we do it on Zoom, and then we're turning it into a podcast. Eventually, after COVID, I want to hopefully take it on the road to keep having these conversations. Just as you all were talking about how important these stories are, I believe that, and sharing our stories is really what, connects us. And so with the wine piece, I also created a philanthropy arm to that. And we partnered with a wine company. And so every month when we we feature a bottle of wine, any of the bottles that are purchased, proceeds will go back to a charity of our choice. And so, so I'm really excited about that and where it's going right now.
Okay, Marjorie, I think we'll all sign up for that, right? The bottle of wine got us. The bottle of wine kind of got us. Genesis, what do you think here?
Well, I got to say, I love my wine and I'm very intrigued about these conversations. So I will be joining in and watching your show as well. So thank you so much for sharing that. I think we all will. I've also got a quick question here for Rosie. And Rosie, what is your perspective on this topic of good immigrants? Would you like to share something that will encourage viewers to read more books authored by immigrants? Because again, keeping this conversation going and just making us aware of where we can get this information will be great.
Yes. So I think the first thing people need to understand is that we all Americans. To me, I did not want to be an Ecuadorian living in America. I wanted to be an American. So when I came to this country, I learned my English in about 3 months, honestly. I lived with an American family that spoke no Spanish whatsoever, and they never sat down and ate together because they were two busy individuals. So after 3 days of starving to death, I realized, hey, I better speak some English so I can tell these people I'm hungry. And it was just, I always look at things in a very positive. I'm a diehard optimist. And I figured out that, learning my English was the way to get adapted very quickly. And then it was the culture. Yes, I love my Ecuadorian culture, but coming to America, I didn't want to be a watered down American. I wanted to, be immersed in learning my language, being successful. Now, Tampa, 32 years ago, it was very friendly people. So everyone respected the law. Everybody respected the traffic. They all gave you a chance to drive by in front of them. People were nice, so you couldn't help it but being nice. That's insane that this is the same thing now, because Tampa now is the third more diverse city in the state of Florida. However, I think we as immigrants have been given a mantle or a platform to just show others how being an American, living from a different background. So I always tell this, I'm Ecuadorian by birth, a Hispanic by heritage, but an American by choice. And when we think that's our thinking. And that is what you will project to those people that they want to find you, know you, like you, and trust you. And if you're a business owner, you use that projection so that paying tribe that is looking for you comes to do business with you. So be the best that you can be, become an ambassador for who you are, be pure, positive, and inspiring, and the rest is all just the glass ceiling that you're about to shatter.
I love that perspective and just making us all aware of just you know, keeping it all in perspective. We are all Americans. We're all here to do what we love to do, to live the American dream. And I really appreciate you sharing from your heart, Rosie, because I know at times it's got to be challenging, just with all the different things going on, and just you have such a great spirit about you, and your ability to continue to share that story is so encouraging to others. So thank you for that, and that great reminder that we all are Americans. And we are going to take a quick break, and we will be right back.
For more episodes of the Thriving Women Talk Show, visit the Mindshift Coaching Services YouTube channel and subscribe. Experience the shift with transformational coaching through Mindshift Coaching Services. Our expertise is in mindset, habit, and behavior change, providing total support and accountability. Together, we will transform your pain into power using transformational coaching method techniques to guide you towards creating a clear vision and purpose while aligning your actions with your goals. To learn more, visit mindshiftcoaching.com. Now, back to Thriving Women.
When was the last time you moved? Did you become a refugee, an immigrant, or a word on a Tea Party protest sign? Maybe not, but get this. At least 232 million people around the world, that's over 3% of the global population, are living in countries they weren't born in or aren't citizens of. The United Nations calls them international migrants. Every year, millions migrate legally and not so legally, voluntarily and not so voluntarily. Why? Here are the three major reasons the world is moving in unprecedented numbers. It's a sad fact, but war and persecution aren't going anywhere anytime soon. And that means there's always going to be people trying to escape it. Not everyone fleeing war is legally considered a refugee, but many are. The biggest refugee communities right now come from Afghanistan, Somalia, and most recently, Syria. Pakistan, Kenya, and Lebanon have all taken in the biggest numbers of these refugees, despite serious challenges. In Lebanon, nearly 1 in 5 people is now a Syrian refugee. Lebanon's infrastructure and economy have been pushed to the breaking point. All this while developed countries in the world have only taken in 14% of the world's refugees. Does that sound fair to you? But the world's wealthiest countries are taking in people looking for better economic opportunities or just a better life. More than 2/3 of the world's migrants live in high-income countries, and more migrants end up in the United States than in any other country in the world. 11.7 million people born in Mexico now live in the U.S. One reason? Higher wages. Compensation in the U.S. for a single manufacturing job is 6 times higher than it is in Mexico. And it's not just the West attracting folks. One big migration trend has people from South Asia moving to the oil-rich Gulf. In the United Arab Emirates, Indians, Bangladeshis, and Pakistanis make up 90% of the private workforce, despite poor working conditions, unfair treatment, and low wages. The last major force driving people out of their homes? The environment. Most natural disasters like floods, hurricanes, and earthquakes cause internal displacement within a country. But sometimes nature actually pushes people to cross borders. A drought in the Horn of Africa led more than 83,000 Somalis to flee to Kenya in the first half of 2011 alone. Natural disasters aside, the change in climate is also a factor. In Tuvalu, a tiny island nation in the Pacific, rising sea levels are forcing people to move to nearby countries like New Zealand. So from man-made to nature-made, those are the 3 big reasons why global migration is here to stay. And considering the UN calls movement a human right, should borders be a bit more flexible? Let us know what you think by tweeting us at AJ+.
Welcome back to Thriving Women Talk. We've had an outstanding conversation today on immigrants. And just to wrap this up, if we could bring Rosie and Marjorie back on, our guest. We want to thank them for opening up our eyes to, there you are. We want to thank you for coming on our show today, and tell our audience how they can find you. Rosie, how can our audience find you?
Definitely. So my website is www.rosiepaulson.com, www.rosiepaulson.com. And you can always text me or call me 813-909-6965, 813-909-6965.
And how can they get your book, Rosie?
Same thing. Just go to my website and there's a tab that says my book, and you can get it from my website.
Awesome. Marjorie, how can they find you and how can they get your book? You're on mute.
So MarjoriePhoenix.com. They can order the book right there on my website, an autographed copy, or they can find it on Amazon. And I am everywhere on social media as Marjorie Phoenix. You can't miss me. So
excellent. Thank you so much. We appreciate you ladies. Again, you've helped us understand the journey of immigrants and the things that you've had to go through and how you're trying to make the world a better place. So with that being said, we're going to bring Sylvia Camacho on. She is going to wrap this up in Spanish. You'll enjoy this. Go ahead, Sylvia.
Thank you, Sabrina. Bienvenido a Thriving Women Talk, el programa de entrevistas número 1 para las mujeres prósperas. Mi nombre es Sylvia Camacho, transmitiendo desde La Habra, California, y estamos en vivo con la tribu que triunfa. El programa de hoy les iluminará, les inspirará y les dará el poder a nuestros espectadores de todo el mundo. Hace 2 semanas anunciamos que nuestro programa se transmite en España. Esta semana recibimos la noticia de que ahora se transmite en Jamaica. ¡Yay! Muchas gracias por sintonizarnos. Gracias a nuestros espectadores nacionales e internacionales. Nuestra misión es compartir historias y temas esclarecedoras, alentadoras y motivadoras cada semana. Hoy es el segundo día de juicio del ex policía Derek Chavis por la muerte de George Floyd, de 46 años de edad. Murió en manos del ex policía cuando éste le puso su rodilla en el cuello y Floyd le decía, no puedo respirar. Estos últimos momentos quedaron grabados en video, llevando a protestas masivas y contra la brutalidad de policial y el racismo en el marco de Black Lives Matter. En un lugar nos concentramos en el evento compartiendo historias personales y perspectivas sobre el impacto del evento y las vidas de las personas. Y la familia de George Floyd compartió este mensaje: The America is watching, que quiere decir en español, el americano está mirando. El día de hoy tuvimos un tema candente, unas mujeres excepcionales. Hablamos del libro y se lo recomendamos, el Good Immigrant, el buen inmigrante. Se inspira en nuestra mayor conciencia de los estereotipos, los prejuicios y el racismo contra los inmigrantes en los Estados Unidos y en todo el mundo. Nuestro objetivo es ilustrar a nuestros espectadores sobre el viaje de este libro, que son 26 escritores en el libro que comparten su experiencia como inmigrantes en América. Quiero dar las gracias a nuestras invitadas, Rosie Paulsen y Marjorie Phoenix, por compartir con nosotras que somos americanos, como ellas dijeron, no inmigrantes. Muchas gracias por estar con nosotros el día de hoy. Y nuevamente les quiero dar las gracias por emprender el viaje con nosotras y escuchar a Thriving Women Show, traído a ustedes por Trendsetter Mentor Group. Regresamos contigo, Sabrina.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. I love that as always. You always bring it home. So we want to thank all of our guests again for making this an outstanding show that we get to learn more about the immigrants and the perceptions thereof in our society. It's been very enlightening, very empowering. We want to also remind all of our viewers out there, they can catch this show and all past shows on our website at thrivingwomennetwork.com. That's thrivingwomennetwork.com. Again, you can catch this show and other shows that have aired. We also want to remind you to meet us on Clubhouse 15 minutes after the show. So at 1:15, we'll open up a Clubhouse room for Thriving Women. This is after the show. If you want to get more insight, we encourage you to join us. So we've had a very empowering show today. Next week is our big show. It's our anniversary show. Wow, you're going to hear a lot about where we came from, our journey, and how we started and where we are now. So that's going to be a special show coming at you. Again, thank you to our guests, Marjorie Phoenix and Rosie Paulsen. I want to thank our Thrive Tribe. You guys did a great job today. You really nailed it on this topic. I was all ears. My mind was there. So thank you to Noel Ramos, Stacy Peasaw, Gina Marie Casano, Genesis Hay Crick, Sylvia Camacho, Brianna Johnson, and also Whitney Harford, who couldn't be with us today. Special thank you to our Thriving Women Network producer. He always does a great job of his research and dedication to bringing things that are empowering, enlightening, and encouraging. That's Daryl A. Johnson. And of course, we couldn't do without our producer, shows engineer, Alan Chafin. He's the guy that brings the pictures in and makes sure we're all here. You can hear us and see us. So I want to thank him with SIBN Network. Remember to visit our website again, thrivingwomennetwork.com, and subscribe. We want to remind you to subscribe so you won't miss a blink on what we talk about. We also have our sister show, brother show, that airs every Wednesday, same time, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Uncomfortable Conversation, and we'll continue the conversation on the Good Immigrant. So join us. We thank you for being here with us and sharing another empowering day. All of the Thrive Tribe, we say bye and thank you.